Hi guys, Michelle Jones here. I am very excited to share with you an update on my vinegars. I've been playing around with creating my own vinegar. I've I've done lives as well in some of the platforms, and I'm not sure if every one of you have seen how I got started with this. If you haven't seen how I created my vinegars, then you have to jump into my Michelle Jones coaching platform so that you can get updates and you get videos of how I create the different healthy stuff that I have at home. So I've got my own herbal garden, I've got my own medicinal herbs as well, tinctures, extracts that I create. And vinegars is one of the things that I've started loving since I think about last year in Canberra. Okay, and I'm going to be sharing with you as well the differences of preparing it in the Canberra weather and doing it here in Fiji. Okay, so let me just make sure that you're hearing me okay. If you have any, if you're online, say hello, leave me a message. We are on a few platforms today. Here we go. Let me just see this. Okay, my privacy in one of my platforms changed. There you go. All right, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. So again, as I said, some of you would have seen how my vinegars started getting prepared. Now, I've got my pineapple red wine vinegar and my apple vinegar here. It's not called apple cider because when you prepare apple cider vinegar, you actually prepare it with the apple juice rather than the apple pieces. As you can see there, you can see the apple pieces floating on the top. Now, another thing that's really worthwhile to note is when the fruits are still floating, usually they need a little bit more time to ferment fully. Okay, you also have to base it on smell. Now, because all these vinegars are here together, I can smell vinegar, but we need to identify where we're smelling it from. Now, the other exciting thing is that if you can see, my pineapple vinegar is a very thick mother that's formed on top of it. There's actually two. You can see the outline there. And my apple vinegar has also a few mothers that have formed on it. The red wine vinegar has a couple that's formed, one's floating underneath and one's above. And because of that, I want to just, pull out the mother and taste the vinegar underneath to make sure that they're all ready. I have been so excited to strain my pineapple vinegar because most of the pineapple is actually gone down. If you can see here, there's only very few that's floating up the top. And with how thick this mother is, I think it's well and truly ready. Now, when you're creating vinegar, one of the more important things to note is if you want to be 100% sure that your vinegar is ready, you need to have a pH tester. I don't have a pH tester right now. My pH tester is in my shipment. We are waiting for our shipment to arrive. So we're going to try and do a different thing. One is we're going to smell it. We're going to do the smell test. We're going to do the taste test. I do have a dropper that tests for pH, and we're going to see if with my pineapple vinegar's color, hopefully we will be able to identify the pH with the color tester. We might not, but just the same, I can strain it, leave the mother, allow it to ferment even more, and in a week's time, I'll actually get my pH tester, so I'll be able to double check what the pH is. So the apple, I might just leave on its own. I will show you what the mother looks like. We're gonna just touch it a little bit, bother it a little bit, and then so you can see what's going on. But I might leave this for another week, only because, as I said, look at that, they're all still up the top. There's only one piece of apple that's sunk. Everything else is still floating at the top. And usually when that's happening, it needs more time. Give it a break. Give it a rest. Just leave it on its own. So we're not ready to do anything. Now with the red wine, there are no pieces in the red wine because I used red wine for this. I didn't put any sugar in this. It was just red wine and my apple cider vinegar here. I like using apple cider vinegar to just kickstart the fermentation process. And I didn't do that straight away with my apple vinegar, my pineapple vinegar, because it looked like it was working really well. But when I realized I was actually going to be going away, I put some apple cider vinegar, which just boosted the growth of the mother, and that allowed me to just share the mother that was created by my pineapple vinegar with my apple, so that I didn't need to stir it while I was away. Obviously, I couldn't stir it because I was away. And that what's happened is, if you look closely, and I can see that there's a few mothers that's formed there. So one is the original mother that we put, that was from the pineapple vinegar, and then the other one was the formations on top of that. So it's really, really exciting. When your mother grows really well, it's a sign that you're on the right track. When you're sure it's not mold, okay? So we're gonna talk about mold as well. Anyway, let me get started with my pineapple. I've got a bowl here, and we are going to remove the mother, separate the mother first, and then we're gonna strain the rest of it. Let's just put this others here on the side. Put this here. I wanna make sure you guys are seeing it, so that it doesn't matter when you jump in. This is where we're gonna be straining it, and we're going to be straining with a strainer, and let's move that here. Move that away first. We're going to be straining it with my strainer and with coffee filter. The coffee filter is to get rid of all the little bits and pieces that are floating in our apple vinegar. Okay, all right. Let's do that. You can still see it. See there. All right, cool. Now let us grab our spatula and then grab the mother. So exciting. So if you see how thick that mother is, it is really beautiful. Should really just use my hands, shouldn't I? Give me a sec. I'm just gonna quickly wash my hands more. I did wash it earlier, but I don't want anything in that mother that can affect it. Where is my... Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Very exciting. So just with clean hands, you can go and grab the mother. Ooh. Very nice. You can see here that I've got a few. I've got one beautifully formed mother. Look at the thickness of that one. And then I've got another one. Ugh. Come on, baby. Come to mama. I should say, come on, mother. Come to mama. Look at this. It's a second one that it's formed. Beautiful. I'm actually quite excited because when I was making my apple vinegar in Australia, it didn't quite grow that thick. Now, this is the original. About a week ago, before I left for Nandi, the resort area here in Fiji, this pineapple vinegar mixture created a mother. So this is half of the mother because I put the other half into my my apple vinegar. I did that to make sure that it would survive the week that I was away. Okay? So I am so excited to see that aside from that single little half piece of mother that had formed, two more had formed. Okay, so for those of you that have just jumped in, this is the original mother that created. I had to cut it in half and share it with the apple vinegar that I made over there. This is the second one that formed on top of it. And this is the third. Oops. This is the third. The third one is a little bit thinner. Okay. If we left that for longer, then it would grow even thicker as well because that was on the topmost, right? Now, if you can see here, my pineapple has well and truly dropped, right? It really isn't on top at all anymore. So we are going to strain it. But before we do that, what you always remember is your mother has to actually be in a little bit of vinegar so it doesn't dry out. If I were to be storing it in this place, then that's what we'll do. Right now, what I'm going to do is actually store it together with the strained vinegar. But just the same, let's just show you how we will do it. So again, we just put a little bit of the original vinegar, have it on the mother, and that way you can see the mother floating in its, without spilling, Michelle, the mother floating in the vinegar. Okay, I'm gonna take photos of this one and share to you guys so you can see how I've done it. And then all we're gonna do is pour this it'll take a little bit of time to actually fully strain it because there are little pieces in it. Now, ideally, we want to use a nylon strainer because the acidity of the vinegar can actually affect metal products, right? So I'm hoping that we are okay because I don't have any of my things right now, honestly. We've just moved here. We've literally today, what's the day? Today is basically our second, today marks 2 months here in Fiji. So we've been in Fiji for 2 months now. We arrived on the 3rd of December. And we've just basically been working with the basics. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make my own vinegar. Rather than buying constantly apple cider vinegar, I thought, you know what, create my own. I'm going to have pineapple vinegar because pineapple is so cheap in this country. And I'm going to have apple vinegar and the leftover red wine. Hey, red wine vinegar, right? So while that's straining, we're going to put this aside and I'm going to show you the mother that's come out of our apple vinegar. Now, I am not going to be straining my apple vinegar, as I mentioned earlier, because it's not ready. I want it to actually, I want it to sink. I want the apple pieces to sink before we strain it. So again, for those of you that have just started joining, the apples haven't sunk, right? You see that? The apples are still floating up the top. But I wanted to show you what what the mother of the apple vinegar looks like. And the reason I'm so excited is when I did this in Canberra, number one, the mother took quite a long time to form. It only formed a very, very thin piece of mother. In fact, it wasn't strong enough for me to actually hold up. Like you saw me hold up the mothers for the pineapple vinegar. When I did it in Canberra, took longer for it to ferment. And the reason for that is when I was making it in Canberra, it was in winter. It is very humid here in Fiji, although our weather is like between 21 to, maybe 20, 23 to 25, 27, 28. We go up to 30 as well, but it's quite humid. So when I leave my vinegar here, it actually ferments beautifully. Okay, I might just put the cover because of all the fruit flies here. Okay, now we're gonna open this and I'm gonna show you the mother that's formed on top of it. Now the mother is going to be protecting this, and remember, as soon as the mother forms, you don't need to keep stirring because it does that stirring on its own. But look at that. Can you see the different layers there of the mother? So if I really wanted to make my own apple vinegar, like another batch of apple vinegar, I could technically remove this top layer and just leave the bottom layer to ferment the rest of the apple vinegar. I will grab it because I'm really, really excited. And it can't do any harm to your vinegar. Okay. Ah, this is so exciting. Okay, let me show you what's happened here. Okay, so this is the mother. We've got pieces of, is that pieces of apple? No, it's not. So this is the mother, all right? It's it formed together with the piece that we had put in initially underneath that came from the pineapple. Now, unlike the pineapple vinegar, it did not form, oh yes it did. It did. Oops. It formed two layers. So if you see that, I can separate this just carefully so that we can see how many actually formed. All right. So this is the mother. And the reason there's a hole is because there's an apple piece that went through that hole. Okay, so that's one piece. And then we've got a second piece that had formed on top of the layer that we added. And I'll show you what the layer is that we added. This thin layer here at the back, that's the one that we divided from the pineapple that we've put here. So this is the one that came from the pineapple. It's got a little bit all squishy, but that's a thin layer that came from the pineapple. This one here was the second layer that formed on top of that. Again, the holes are because the apple pieces were on top. So when the mother formed, it had some of the apple pieces poking through. And this is the third one. So again, so excited because when I did my apple vinegar in camera, I only had the thin layer. And that was also after I had left my apple vinegar, strained it, but had it sitting for another month or so. So about 6 weeks to 2 months. So I had it for a month that allowed it to ferment. The apples sunk after a month. And then I strained them, left them in a container, still with the coffee filter on, so that I allowed it to air even more and for the apple to, for the vinegar to ferment even longer. And even throughout that, so it was about 3 months of that, I did not have a mother that was this thick. So I am really, really excited about this. Now, another theory I have is I was using a different apple cider vinegar that I incorporated into my mix back there. I was using the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Here, I found this organic vinegar, and this is what I've been using here in Fiji. Okay, so this is a French vinegar, apple cider vinegar, all organic, and that's what you want to do. You want to be able to use all organic products when you're creating your vinegars because you're going to be ingesting all that. Okay, now what are we going to do? Well, I am going to put this all back in. I have to get more containers over the weekend to make my another batch of apple vinegar. But you know what? Why don't we taste it? I want to taste this vinegar. I do have a little plastic spoon here. That's got, see that? So I am going to taste it. Oh. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I think I want to just leave it a little bit longer, again, as I said, because they're still floating, and I want to wait for my pH test strips to make sure that I've got the right pH for this vinegar so that I can store it safely. It's not going to go moldy, okay? But we might try and do the test that I mentioned earlier, where we will put some in here, and gotta get a clean spoon again. put it there and just test it with a pH tester. Let's see if that actually works. So I put a little amount there, if you can see that. And I am going to drop the pH tester and see what the pH level is. This is my pH tester. If it turns orange is what we want it to turn into, then we are on the about 3.0 range. I have got it already. Look at that. Look at that. That is so cool. Okay. I have a dilemma. I don't know if I'm going to remove it. What do you think? Give me a shout out. Send me a message. I am a very conservative person. I don't want to waste what I've made, but this is amazing. This is really good. So, if I were to just guesstimate, it will be between about 2.5 to 3.5 pH, that one. Which means it's really good. That's done. But I'm going to allow it maybe even just a couple of days. Tomorrow's a Saturday. I'm going to try and see if I can find a pH tester here and do more testing. Meantime, this little baby I am going to put back there. And actually, I'm going to put all of them because I also need containers anyway to do my next apple cider vinegar properly. Remember, if you're going to be touching your apple vinegar, guys, gotta make sure your hands are clean, okay? Mind you, they do say that vinegar can kill anything. So it would kill the bugs that your hands have. But I love the taste. The color says it's ready. And again, the mother is all nicely formed. So I kind of feel like it is ready. I'm going to give it until tomorrow. And then I'm going to try and see if I can get some pH testers so that I can transfer this. I also need to get more bottles to transfer it into. Ooh, I got a call. Sorry, guys. Just give me a sec. I'm live. What's up? I cannot talk. Come home. Bye. All right. So, apple vinegar. Again, I reckon gut instinct based on what we saw, what I tasted, what I smelled, it's ready. Is it gonna kill my apple vinegar if I left it for longer? No, it won't. It will actually just ferment even more. You just don't want to make it ferment so long because it will change the flavor of your vinegar. It will be very strong. Okay. Right now, the taste is actually quite good. Okay, I'm gonna put that away, and we now have our red wine vinegar that we're gonna be checking and tasting. So this one was made on the 13th as well. Oops, there you go, 13th. So they were all made on the 13th of January. And let's just taste a little bit of this. Oops. This one we definitely cannot test with the pH tester because it's already red. Okay. Oh. That tastes good as well. It's really vinegary. Okay, so there's nothing to do with this one. If unlike the pineapple vinegar, which is a little bit more tricky, there's nothing much for me to do here because there are no pieces in this. There's nothing that's going to happen. The only thing that we can do differently is transfer it into a bottle like this and put it aside. Or another good way of preserving your vinegars is actually put it in a bottle with a plastic cap. The reason for that is metal caps can can disintegrate. It can rust. Okay. Now I'm not sure why this is what this one uses. It does have plastic inside, so it's coated. It's coated with that and with this, so it protects the metal. So I have saved up some of these bottles, and I can reuse that. I'll just have to remove the label. Remember, you need to make sure that you label everything, because you might not remember what it is. If I had created beetroot vinegar, for example, it would look so much like red wine vinegar. So put the dates and put the name of what vinegar you had created. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you the mother of this red wine vinegar. Okay, Michelle, just need to wash my hands again. Just quickly, just rinse. I am feeling, I am really, really excited. Okay, so when I did an update with my Michelle Jones coaching group last time, so you guys, if you're watching this one, you saw me point out the mother. We pushed the mother down, right? And that's the one that's now sunk underneath. If you look at that closely, that's the mother that we saw back then. There's another one that's formed on top. So when you're getting multiple mothers, you know that your vinegar is fermenting beautifully, right? And again, call me weird, but I get so excited about these things. So let me show you. Actually, no. We'll see if we can scoop it with this one, or I can just no. Woo. Don't go down too much. I need to grab you. Okay. Oh, that's so slippery. Okay, there you go. So this is the mother of our vinegar, red wine vinegar, and then the second one is there. I feel like this is so messy. Not just feel, it is very messy, but it is exciting. And this one is much thicker. So this is the one that's been there since I updated you guys with how it was. And it is beautiful. It is thick. Now this is exciting that I've got two mothers. I'll show you again. Oops, it's very slippery. I'll show you together. There you go. Two mothers. It's like very thin slices of beetroot. It's exciting to have two mothers, because that means that if I want to create another red wine vinegar, I can just use this. Now, I was actually thinking to myself, can I use that if I were to make white wine vinegar? I probably don't want to, because I'm wondering if the color will affect my white wine vinegar. But if you know, if you're not going to give it away, if it's just for you, if you're just going to test it, and I am just going to test it, I think I'll give it a go. I don't have a lot of leftover white wine right now, but as soon as I do get to collect leftovers, I'm going to give it a try, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Okay? So go and try making your own vinegar. It is exciting. It's fun. If you have kids, show them what the mother is. When you start collecting more mothers, you can actually eat the mother. It's very nutritious. It's very good for your gut. If you don't want to eat it, or you get too many, if you've got livestock, you can put it in the feed for your livestock. You can compost it. So you can do a lot of different things with the mother. Or you can put it aside in another smaller bottle with some vinegar to just keep it moist and keep it growing, and then just keep making more vinegars. Gift the vinegars. Not everyone knows how to make vinegar, right? So really excited about this. Oh, we haven't done a test. Let me do a test of the pineapple vinegar. We'll do a taste test, and we're going to throw this out and then see what the pineapple vinegar pH is. All right. I might just do that. So I'm going to get some pineapple vinegar, put it in. I'm gonna have a taste as well. Ah, God. Yep, yep, yep. So we have tasted that. I just remember that taste. It's all good. Okay, now let's do this. We've tested the apple. Let's test the pineapple. I love the pineapple flavor in this pineapple vinegar. So good. So we're just gonna put a drop. Ah, yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Look at that. Same color. So it is ready. Again, as I said, I'm just gonna give it, I'm straining it already anyway. I'm straining the pineapple already. I'm gonna be putting back the mother in it and just storing it away. So it's draining slowly, okay? Because there's a lot of little pieces in there. Yep. Yep. So see. It'll take a while. So I'm just gonna leave it, allow it to strain, transfer it in a bottle. I'll send you a photo of how it looks like after I've bottled all of them afterwards. But I hope you guys found that interesting and you learned something from that. Again, vinegar making is a lot of fun. Have your kids, have them touch the mother. It's each mother has a different texture. The apple was a little bit more rough and had more holes because the apple pieces are actually quite big and they're on top. The pineapple pieces weren't quite as big, so the mother was smoother. But yeah, and the pineapple mother was so much thicker. So both the pineapple and the apple had three mothers each. So the original one that was created from the pineapple that we divided, they both retained that and they both built two more mothers on top of it. Our red wine vinegar developed two. I don't think there's anything that's underneath. There are some bits and pieces underneath that you can see. I don't know if you can see that. So I can, oh, yep, I think you can. So see that there are like bits and pieces there that are white. Again, that's more like tiny bits of mother that's in the solution. So when you actually bottle them and you give them away to your friends and your family, make sure that there's a little bit of those little pieces so that the mother just keeps growing in their vinegar as well. Keep the big ones so that you can keep reusing. I have invited some friends over to do a class with. So these mothers are going to be very helpful when I do the other fruit vinegars with them. So I am intending to create a mango vinegar. Got my mango that I've cut up already in the fridge. I am going to be doing a passion fruit vinegar as well. The vinegars are great for salad dressings. They're also quite healthy for you. Remember, fermented drinks are very good for your gut and very good for your immune system. So it's nice to be able to have a different tasting drink every day that actually gives you good health. Okay, and that you've created. So it's cheaper when you create them rather than when you just buy them from the shops. Leftover red wine, instead of throwing it away, create it into red wine vinegar. I did buy the apples, but if you have a lot of apples, apple peels, apple core, you can remove the seeds, but put the whole core in. All that can be used to create your apple vinegar. With my pineapple, I actually used the skin and the center of the pineapple. There were some bits that were a little bit overripe. I added those as well into my mixture. And hey, it created amazing mothers, so I did right. I did the good. I did the right thing. I did well. All right, guys, I'm gonna go now. This is more than. This is much longer than I had hoped to create, but I was just really, really excited to share this with you. Make your food, grow your food, create your medicines. If you can't grow them, create them. You know, buy organic, buy the freshest stuff around you. Have a means to wash off pesticides from your food. So all my fruits, before I actually made my vinegars, I washed with my Kangen water. We have an 11.5 high alkaline water that actually flushes out pesticide. That's really important because pesticides and stuff on your fruit can affect how your vinegar will turn out. Okay? All right, guys, again, I'm inviting you to join my Michelle Jones coaching group where we will be talking about other healthy foods that you can create from home. On Tuesday, I'm going to be sharing with my group how to create kombucha from scratch. Okay? How do you create your own kombucha? All right. I hope to see you guys there. Just go to Michelle Jones Coaching. Answer the questions. I think there are a few questions there. It asks you where you saw me, and I'm gonna get you and accept you to the group so that we can start learning from each other. Okay, so this is not just about you learning from me, but us learning from each other. I hope you enjoy that. Have a great weekend, everyone, and thank God it's Friday. Bye.